light to light. Inner circles here, the voices thrive. Turn on your screens, let the magic unfold. Listening and healing as stories are told. Come one, come all, this is your time. No topics too tough, just heed the calls. From mental health woes to justice we seek. Together we rise for the strong and the meek. A safe space for all, let's lift every voice. Podcast where hearts unite, sharing our truths, bringing hope to the light. Community strong, we're never alone. Together as one, we've created a home. With laughter and love, we break down the walls. No topics too tough, just heed the calls. From mental health woes to justice we seek. Together we rise for the strong and the meek. A safe space for all, let's lift every voice. So join the conversation, let's set the tone. In a circle podcast where love is well known.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Inner Circle Podcast. I'm your host, Abe Kamara, and tonight we are joined by Brooklyn Center Police Chief Garett Flesland for a timely community conversation regarding community policing, mental health, and of course, this Saturday is Liberia Independence Day, and the city of Brooklyn Center is going to be having a parade. City Liberians in Brooklyn Center are going to be having a parade and a festival. So we'll also dive into that as well. I'm here with my co-host, Peterson. Peterson, welcome to the show.
Good evening, and thank you, Chief Flesland, for honoring our invitation. And Abe, welcome to the show. Everybody, this is Peterson from Chicago, outside of Chicago. I don't live in the actual city, but from the Windy City. Welcome to the show. This is a timely discussion, and let's all have a good conversation.
Okay. So, folks, before we jump into the conversation, you can contribute to the conversation tonight by putting a comment in the chat. Calling our number 817-600-1525 if you have any question for the chief, if you want to make a comment as well. And then also there's a growing platform. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Facebook, wherever you get your podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, LinkedIn. Follow us, join us so we can continue to have conversation like this. So Chief Flesland, welcome to the show, and just give you the opportunity to introduce yourself to our audience, folks that haven't met you before, haven't seen you, and just a little intro about you and your background.
Sure. I really appreciate this invitation. I've been looking forward to this for a couple of weeks since we've been kind of trying to get the schedules to align. And I do need to apologize. Director Turk from our city was going to join us tonight, but she's been ill for a couple of days. So we exchanged some emails earlier today, and I appreciated your opportunity that maybe we can circle back around down the road, and Director Turk and I can team up for another conversation.
Sure.
But yeah, awesome opportunity. So I'm the chief of police with the city of Brooklyn Center. I've been the chief now for a little over a year. I was appointed back in June of 2024. So the Brooklyn Center Police Department, that's the only police job I've ever had. I'm coming up on next month, it'll be 25 years with the city. So if I go before my life as a police officer, I grew up in Brooklyn Park. Went to Palmer Lake Elementary School, went to Brooklyn Junior High when it was still called a junior high. It's a middle school now, but graduated from Park Center. And when I graduated from Park Center, I went in the Navy. So I was in the Navy for about 10 years. And when I got out of the Navy at the end of 99, then I went back to school for, I guess, about 7 months, and wanted to throw my name in the hat to try law enforcement. And I found an awesome spot to land in Brooklyn Center. It was just meant to be, me being there. So I've been there for coming on 25 years. And looking forward to this conversation.
That's good. That's a good background. How has policing evolved since you became a police officer in Brooklyn Center?
In some respects, it hasn't changed at all, but
Okay.
in many respects, it's changed a bunch.
Okay.
So as far as I think if you get down to the nuts and bolts of what the police do or what the police are supposed to do,
Yeah.
I believe the purpose is really to protect the vulnerable from harm.
Okay.
And that can be done in a variety of ways. And we can define vulnerable people in a variety of ways. It could be a victim of a crime. It could be someone that's unhoused. Maybe it's someone that's suffering from lack of food. It could be a variety of ways. And when we really get into policing, we're trying to solve problems. We're trying to help people. And in that respect, it hasn't changed. It all comes down to relationships. It comes down to communicating with people. It comes down to getting information from people, whether it's a victim, a witness, a suspect. That part of policing hasn't changed. It's a person-to-person contact. It's a relationship. What has changed? Technology. Technology. When I started in 2000, I didn't have a computer in my squad car. I had a bunch of yellow sticky notes that I would take notes on as far as where dispatch was sending me. Nowadays, the police car looks like a spaceship. It has got a laptop computer. It has got our squads right now have 2 cameras in the squads, 3 cameras. Officers are wearing cameras. We've got radars for speed detection. We've got a variety of radios. It's a spaceship when you compare what it looks like now.
Sure.
But society has also changed.
Yeah.
Back, I started before we had cell phones. I mean, phones existed, but we didn't have them in the police cars.
Sure.
And nowadays, everyone has a phone, which means everyone's got a video camera.
Wow.
Which I think is not a bad thing.
Okay.
But yeah, technology has changed. And some expectations of society, of the community has changed. And I think that's completely appropriate because we don't want to be stagnant as a society or as a government entity, because that's what I am as a police officer. I'm an agent of the state. I'm part of the government. But we have to continue to evolve. So expectations have changed. And that's where conversations like this are so crucial to make sure that we all have our expectations out on the table and we agree this is what we want the government to do. This is what we don't want the government to do. Here's where we need some help. Another way it's changed, I think, is just the awareness of mental illness. I'm not smart enough to be able to say what mental illness looked like 20 years ago or 30 years ago or 100 years ago. But what I can say today is we are aware that mental illness, substance abuse, chemical dependency, all of these things play into our world, play into how community interacts with other community. And so that awareness, I think, is awesome that we are now really putting some effort into understanding it and how we can help support, nudge in the correct direction. We've got teams, and we could talk about this throughout tonight. We've got expanded response teams that we never had in 2000 when I started. And wow, would it have been a different place 25 years ago if we would have had these other resources out there? And I'm not saying we're at the finish line, but we're going in a good direction, I think.
Okay. Thanks for that. Peterson, question from you. Oh, you're on mute, Peterson.
Sorry about that. Yeah, thank you for the introduction, that background. I wanted to know, before we go into questioning, you say you are appointed now. The chief of police is an appointed position. How long is the tenure for that?
It can vary from community to community. In Brooklyn Center, it's not for a specific term. I serve at the pleasure of the city manager. So in City of Brooklyn Center, the way the government is set up, it's a charter city. So we've got a charter that establishes a lot of the rules. And so the city council, obviously elected by the community, by the residents. The city council essentially has 2 employees, the city attorney and the city manager. And so by charter, the city manager is charged with running the city, doing all the hiring, doing all the firing, and running the day-to-day operations of the city through his department heads and city staff. So there was a selection process. I was fortunate enough to be given the opportunity to move offices, and I serve at the pleasure of the city manager. Obviously, the city manager is in close communication with the city council, and checks and balances. But there is no set duration of tenure.
Okay. Any other question from you, Peterson?
No. So the city manager, is that the equivalent of like the mayor?
No, the city manager it's a full-time position. Depending on the way the city is set up, sometimes you have a city manager, sometimes you have a city administrator. Our city has a city manager, full-time executive position. He's essentially the chief operating officer. I guess I don't know what the ideal term is, but he's charged with running the city. So the mayor and the 4 council members, so there's 5 elected officials that oversee overall. They set the policies for the department. They approve, or for the city. They set the budget for the city. And by setting the budget, you're essentially communicating your priorities, what your expectations are for how the city is going to conduct operations. And then the city manager is charged with actually executing that budget.
Okay. How would you describe the current relationship between Broken Center Police Department and the broader community? I know there's a community that has been through so much. There was a COVID demonstration, as well as the killing of Dante Wright, a couple of years ago. How would you describe the current relationship?
Evolving and growing.
Okay.
I think we had a good relationship, and previous chiefs, previous administrations, previous city councils really prioritized communications, relationships, collaboration. And then we had a pandemic. Yeah. And that threw everyone a little bit for the pandemic. Incredibly scary, not knowing exactly what COVID was, how it was going to affect different people. And, obviously the kids staying at home from school, whole nother dynamics and such. Yep. And that I believe that threw a lot of people. That was something unexpected, and we had to adapt to it. Sure. And then you put in the death of George Floyd, which really... There was already, I think, a spotlight on policing and on law enforcement, especially if you go back to like the Ferguson incident. Some of these high profile. And here's where part of the technology evolution, we now know nearly instantaneously if something significant happens in another spot in the country or the world. And so there's a lot more awareness. And so people were looking at policing a little bit. They were paying attention, which I think is completely appropriate and right. We're obviously a big aspect of the government. And then, yes, we had Dante Wright was killed and brought some attention to us. And we've done some self-reflection. We've had some tough conversations, and we continue to have tough conversations. And I think we need to make the best we can, make something good out of a tragedy. And I think the communications, the dialogue, the awareness is good. And the relationship is strengthening because of ongoing communications, because of ongoing dialogue, because of conversations exactly like this. That we can continue to learn from each other. We can continue to grow together. And kind of like I talked before, let's make sure we all have the same expectations. Yes. And once we have the same expectations clearly communicated, then I think it's going to be even easier to continue to move forward with the idea those expectations are going to continue to change over time. Yeah. Once we set up the relationship today, we need to work on it tomorrow because it's going to be different tomorrow than it was today. Okay.
So what are some concrete steps where has the department taken to rebuild and strengthen trust? What are some of the concrete steps you can, if you can just list some few concrete steps your department has taken to rebuild trust?
We had the BC Circle series for a while that Director Turk was was really spearheading and coordinating, and really part of that was working with the community to really help give the community tools to continue to have dialogue among themselves. So we don't want to always have to be the ones to facilitate the conversation and the dialogue. What we do want is productive dialogue, respectful dialogue, collaborative dialogue that brings in everyone to have a seat at the table. So those kind of conversations have happened and are continuing to ongoing. We're rolling out we've rolled out the pilot project with the expanded response teams. We now have 2 teams that are out in Brooklyn Center responding to 911 calls that are primarily focused on mental health related instances. So they are not significant crimes. They are not incidents that involve weapons. And they are ones that we can get social workers and other mental health practitioners, community paramedics, to really spearhead problem solving, trying to get to the root cause of what is going on in this relationship or this situation that is not healthy for someone, and trying to get the right resources to the right people at the right times where they are. Really trying to meet community where they are. We've continued to refine our policies. We've continued to evolve with best practices. There's more and more training that part of it is state mandated over the last couple of years, some additional training that's required of all peace officers every couple of years. But we have constantly exceeded what those minimum required trainings are, because that's the best way we're going to be able to do the best job possible.
Okay. Could I ask a question from you?
Okay. With the extended rapid response team, what's the makeup of that team? Is it just officers, or you mentioned about having like mental health practitioners? Now, are they part of the team, or do you just partner with them?
Yeah, these are excellent question. Really good question. If we go back 5-6 years, the conversation really kind of started back then. I think everyone recognized the significance of mental health related issues and challenges within society, within community. And so there were a variety of efforts, new efforts. And one of them was a co-responder model. And that was typically putting a police officer with a mental health practitioner together in a vehicle to go respond. And that was one popular model. What we're doing in Brooklyn Center, it's not a co-responder model. It's an expanded response. Some communities use the term alternative response, but there is not a police officer in the vehicle. One of the teams is comprised of a senior social worker from Hennepin County and a community paramedic from North Memorial. They have a vehicle. They're the ones that are typically working Monday through Friday from around 10 in the morning till about 6:30 at night. And they've got the same radios in their car that the police officers have. Now, oftentimes, a police officer will be dispatched to an incident, and the police officer will recognize this is really not a need for the police to be involved. And so we will request that this expanded response team come to the scene, and then we'll hand it off to them and we'll leave. The officer will leave. And then the social worker and the community paramedic will spearhead that. And there are more and more examples of that expanded response team being the first responder. We don't even send officers to some of these calls anymore, because we're recognizing sometimes we've got a history at that address or with that particular community member, and we know, hey, this is not typically a police incident, or police don't need to be involved in this. We're going to get this expanded response team out there. So one of the teams is a senior social worker and a community paramedic. The second team that we're using, and they are working some of the evening hours and the weekend hours, that is 2 mental health practitioners. That's not a community paramedic, but 2 mental health practitioners. And so we're really learning a lot about the capabilities when you get some subject matter experts for some of this, the mental health related issues. We can make a big impact in a positive way. And by drilling down to the root cause, and these expanded responders oftentimes have more time, they can commit to this incident. We've constantly got 911 calls coming in, And so we are going sometimes from call to call to call, and we don't have time to put much more than a Band-Aid on. We get the experienced responders out there. They're typically spending close to 50 minutes on a call was the last average I heard. They're taking time to get to know the people, get to know the individuals involved, figuring do where they are, what kind of needs they have, and then aligning the right resource. So they are preventing future calls by spending 50 minutes today. They might be preventing 2 or 3 calls over the next couple of weeks.
Sure. What has been the community response then? Right? How has the community responded to this, to the ERT? And is it a pilot program? And maybe the third part to that is it an initiative of the city of Brooklyn Center or just the police department?
No, it's a city effort, city initiative. Okay. The one of the teams is in collaboration, obviously, with Hennepin County the social work from Hennepin County and the North Memorial paramedic. The second one is through Canopy Roots that we're partnering, that the city's partnering with. This is definitely a city initiative, and one of the things that has really become crystal clear since Dante Wright was killed is that, and it's an outcropping of all these conversations we've had. Public safety is way more than just one department. If we're going to successfully provide public safety to the city of Brooklyn Center, it's a much bigger job than just the police department. So it is not uncommon. If we've got a public safety sort of issue, we're going to have me at the table, our fire chief at the table, Director Turk with our new Office of Community Prevention, Health and Safety at the table. We bring Park and Rec to the table generally because there are so many touch points that our Park and Rec staff has with community, and especially the young people in the community, that they've got the ability to influence and impact behavior in certain touch points that we've never had in the past. They're really kind of front line with prevention. If we can start, interacting before any kind of crime has happened or before there's been any kind of issue, that's saving people time. It's saving people money. There's nothing bad. There's no negative from that. So we have discovered public safety in Brooklyn Center is way more than just a police issue. It's a city issue and a community issue, and we have to work together.
Okay. Brooklyn Center is a very diverse community, a very diverse city. There's over a huge immigrant population. How will you describe the police department relationship with the immigrant community?
It's still evolving and growing and strong. A while ago, I could definitively say that Brooklyn Center was the most diverse community in Minnesota. It kind of bounces back and forth between a couple of communities. So I'm not sure if we are number 1 or number 2 right now, but it's a huge strength for me. And it is part of why I'm so proud to be a police officer in Brooklyn Center. I get the opportunity to interact with so many communities. We've got the community of Brooklyn Center, but within Brooklyn Center, we've got so many different communities, and whether it's socioeconomic, whether it's racial, whether it is religion, whether it is sexual orientation and preference, we can interact with virtually any type of person, and it's on a daily basis. And that is incredibly exciting. And my cops love learning. I think the best city staff and the best police officers are your lifelong learners. And our officers have the opportunity during their interactions with the community every day to constantly learn. And they get to learn about new cultures and new practices and new customs and new courtesies. And what a melting pot. And I know there's some concern sometimes about using the term melting pot, and maybe it's better replaced with a salad. Where you've got all the ingredients, they're in the bowl, but they're not necessarily changing form. They're not melting together. A carrot is still a carrot. A piece of lettuce is still lettuce. And, an onion is still an onion. But you put them in a salad, and in the right proportion, that can be delicious. But yet you've still got those ingredients that still have their history and what makes them special and unique.
That's a true gem right there. That's a true gem. Well, folks, tonight we are talking to the Chief of Police of the City of Brooklyn Center. We're talking about community policing and accountability, and he's providing some good information. So you can contribute to this conversation by calling our number 817-600-1525 or putting a comment in the chat. Peterson, any question from you?
Yeah, so when it comes to your community engagement, what are your officers doing just so if there's a positive impact, maybe neighboring communities can copy similar policies and ideas instead of waiting on a call to come in before engaging or interacting with somebody from the community? What are they doing proactively?
There's the variety of the typical things that I think most police departments would respond to that question with. We do some coffees with a cop. We go to community events. We're invited to, we've got an upcoming annual health fair with the city, and we'll have some cops there interacting with the community and, showing off a squad car and letting kids climb through a squad car and take pictures and stuff. Maybe a little bit unique to Brooklyn Center is the neighborhood area meetings, and we try and hit every park every 3 to 4 years. During the summer, we bring out all the city departments to kind of explain what's going on and give some news and stuff. So those typical events are going on. But where I think we in the police department can make the biggest impact is every interaction we have. And so what I try and get across to my staff, and it's not just my police officers, it's my professional staff. It's our records technicians. It's our front desk staff. It is everyone that's got a touch point with community, even if it's whoever answers the phone when they call looking for a copy of a police report or whatever. I push my staff to make the most of every interaction. Let's treat everyone with respect, with dignity, with clear communication, and let's try and help solve that problem regardless of what it is. And if it is something that should be handled by another city department, well, let's try and give a warm handoff to the right person in the city department, not just point the finger, but let's try and lead that person and put their hand in the hand of the person that can help them. So let's take advantage of every opportunity we have. And my officers interact with hundreds of people each week. Each officer interacts with hundreds of people. Some of them are during response to a 911 call, right? They go take a report of a stolen bike or some damage to a car. But our officers are also out in the community getting coffee drinks at coffee shops or going into the gas station to grab a Monster or some kind of energy drink or a candy bar. Now, I wish they would eat healthy and nutritious, but I understand sometimes you need a jolt of caffeine. But when the officer is in that convenience store, I want them to take advantage of that little kid that wants to ask them a question, or that teenager that has a question about, hey, what does this mean on a traffic stop, or what does this new law mean about these motorcycles that can go between cars at intersections and such. So let's take advantage of every opportunity to answer the questions, to engage, to have a dialogue, and ultimately to let the community get to know the cops as people, because we're still people. I believe the police do an incredibly noble job. I believe it's an incredibly noble profession, and I will forever be proud of the people that I get to work with. But it's also a job. And when I come home, I'm dad, I'm husband, and my cops are as well. And so I really want the community to get to know the officers as people. We've got different hobbies. We've got different interests. Some of us like to read books. Some of us like to watch movies. Some of us like to play sports. But we're all people that are trying our best to do something to make community a little bit better than it was yesterday.
For a diverse city like Brooklyn Center, does the police department reflect the diversity of the city in terms of, the makeup of the police? The makeup of the police department?
Big picture, we could do better. Okay. We could do better, and we are striving to do better. We also, with the pandemic and with the various civil unrest throughout the world, especially the United States, the number of people that want to get into policing has gone down. So we don't have as big a pool to pick future police officers from. And one thing I will refuse to do is lower any kind of standards. I don't want to fill positions just to fill positions. We're 18% down right now in my sworn staff, and we are working really hard to get the right people that are going to serve the community of Brooklyn Center in the way I think the community deserves to be policed. So I'm not going to rush to fill those seats. I'm going to find the right people. Now, even though we may not today look exactly like our community, when we dig down, we have got so many connections to the community. A large number of our officers graduated from Brooklyn Center High School or Park Center High School. A bunch of my cops don't even have to come back to the police station when they have to use the bathroom at night during a shift because they've got relatives that live in Brooklyn Center. Some of our cops specifically came to Brooklyn Center because their loved ones live in Brooklyn Center and they know the type of community that's here. So although we may not visually represent the community in a one-on-one percentage, we've got an incredible amount of touch points. And I'm in the process of putting together a map of all of our staff on where they grew up. And I think it's going to be surprising how many grew up really, really close to Brooklyn Center. The bedroom I grew up in is about 2 miles from where my office is today. And I think that's pretty cool. So although I didn't grow up in Brooklyn Center, I grew up in Brooklyn Park. This is all still the same area, and I get to police my hometown.
Okay, that's good. Peter, any question from you?
Yeah, so being the chief of police in a city or community that has a large population of immigrants, what steps is your department taking to ensure that, because there's a lot of fear in the atmosphere right now, so what steps is your department taking to ensure that people mind is at ease, that they are not in fear of anything?
We're trying to communicate. Well, excellent question. And especially the end of last year and early this year, I understand there was a palpable fear among the community about immigration reform and new initiatives from the federal government. What I want to be incredibly clear is my job as a city police chief is to take care and protect the people that are in my community. And I don't care what their immigration status is. I don't care what they look like. I don't care what they believe. My job is to keep them safe. Immigration, it's a civil issue, and that's the federal government's role. It's not my role. And it's heartbreaking sometimes when I hear, and it's not often, but that victims of crime are afraid or hesitant to reach out to the police because they're concerned about what this immigration paper says or this document says. And I don't want anyone to be afraid to come to us when they need help. We don't have, if I wanted to check, Ms. Peterson, your immigration status, I don't have the ability. I don't have that database. I don't have access to that database. It's that's one problem that the movies and television have made. The movies and television have led a lot in the public to believe that police and any law enforcement agency is all interconnected and shares information and can solve crimes in 44 minutes. Although we communicate a lot and we work together a lot, we don't have that kind of interoperability or that communication. And I think I speak for any local police chief, especially in this area. Our job is to keep our people safe, regardless of where the people came from or their immigration status. That's another arm of the government's responsibility, not mine.
We have seen a rise in youth-related gun violence across the state. What is Brooklyn Center's doing? The police department doing to engage with the youth and to prevent gun violence? Recently, I think 3 or 4 weeks ago, a young 17 Liberian immigrant was shot and killed in Brooklyn Park. I mean, what is your department doing to prevent gun violence?
We're recognizing the significance of it, and we're aware of the uptick. We're also aware. I don't know if I want to draw a direct parallel, but there's some similarities between, I think, some of the young people today, they have a lack of foresight. They're not looking way down the road, right?
Yeah.
Some of the stuff that gets posted on social media, once it's on social media, it's there. You can't get rid of it.
Okay.
I never had to worry about that when I was in high school because there was no social media. I didn't have to worry about making that permanent imprint forever that was going to follow me. Likewise, when a bullet leaves a gun, you can't undo that.
Yeah.
And that's permanent. Whatever that hits, hopefully it's not a person, but that's permanent. You can't undo that. So we really need to communicate to everyone how dangerous these weapons can be. And technology, you know, there's 3D printers out there. There's these ghost guns that you can find the right software system and the right information on the internet to make a halfway decent, reliable gun in your basement. If you have the right technology and tools. I don't have that kind of knowledge to be able to do that, but our cops run across those homemade guns occasionally, and it's scary what they can do.
Yeah.
But I think where we can maybe make an impact is those relationships and getting to know the kids. Here's where I'm going to lean back on our Office of Community Prevention, Health, and Safety, as they're engaged with a lot of young people. Brooklyn Center and Brooklyn Park both work together with Brooklyn Bridge Alliance for Youth. And they have a variety of programs. And actually, I had a really frank conversation with them about a month and a half ago, and they were asking the same questions about, you know, what can we do with youth gun violence? And some of our interactions with our park and rec. We've got a park and rec outreach team that's out in the parks every night, and they are getting to know some of these kids. And I think as those relationships evolve, we've got some good role models, we've got some mentors, and hopefully we can get more and more of the youth to recognize, hey, they are our future. Let's not mess it up. Let's not do something that you're going to regret down the road, or something that's going to put you in juvenile detention where now all of a sudden you've taken 3 steps back. So it's communication. It is awareness. It is engaging the families, and it's going to be to not stop. We got to figure out what's going to work today, and then work on evolving that into what's going to work next week, because what works today is not going to work next week. So this is going to be something we are going to have to continue pursuit of.
In addition to that, how you collaborate? Are you doing a collaboration with schools, you know, high schools, middle schools, maybe nonprofits, or even community leaders and community organizations? Are you collaborating with them? Are you reaching out to them to see, you know, how best you can work on this youth violence, especially like immigrant youth, right? To us, it is a strange thing. To your point, you know, pretty much grew up in the Brooklyn Park, Brooklyn Center area. You know, during my days of high school, it's like there was no social media, guns was not, you know, it's like, you know, the things kids do these days, right? It's confusing, right? But how are you collaborating with schools, with, you know, community organizations and nonprofits?
We've got a cool thing in Brooklyn Center in that we have so many school districts that all have a little bit and piece within Brooklyn Center. But the biggest one obviously is the Brooklyn Center School District. And I will say our relationship, the police department with the school district, and really the city of Brooklyn Center with the school district, is really in a good spot and getting better. We've had regular dialogue with the schools, with the school district, especially Brooklyn Center School District, to get to know each other a little bit when it's not a time of crisis, so that we can start to build those relationships. We're helping them work with some planning for if there were something terrible to happen in school, that we're all on the same page. We're getting some expectations, even on the not terrible things, on just the regular things that happen in a school, how we as the city can support the school, recognizing that generally it's a school related issue, but sometimes we as a city can maybe help them. We are going to be getting up. We've talked to the school a lot about a multicultural advisory committee within the school based on young people. So we're continuing that, and I'm super excited that that's going to happen in the not so distant future. But we're going to have a MAC in the school where we in the police department and the city are going to be able to interact with a regular basis with a group of kids, get to know them, and Yeah, they'll learn from us a little bit, but I know we're going to learn even more from the kids than they learn from us. We're going to get a really good insight as far as what they are afraid of, what they are concerned about. And as soon as we can start to get some of that knowledge, that ground truth of what really impacts the kids from their perspective, then we can best help get the right resources and maybe tweak our programming a little bit, tweak what we offer as a city to meet them with what they need where they are.
Okay. Peterson, question from you.
Yeah, so with the piece about having programs for the kids, I know during the summer months is when gun violence usually goes up. To your knowledge, is the City of Brooklyn Center, do they have like a working program where you say during the summer months, kids who are of age, maybe 14 to 16, 17 years old, to have like a little part-time job? Because if they're busy, they probably won't have the time to be congregating at these parks and getting into trouble. So do you know if the city has any programs like that?
The city does hire a variety of seasonal staff, a lot within like the public works department. They hire a fair number of seasonal staff during the summer. But what I'd really like to highlight is I had mentioned the Brooklyn Bridge Alliance for Youth. One of the programs associated with them is Brooklink. And so Brooklink coordinates interns through a variety of businesses as well as City of Brooklyn Park and City of Brooklyn Center. So we've got embedded in the police department this summer a Brooklink intern. So he's a sharp young man that is working in the police department, helping us with a variety of projects. Last year we had 2 Brooklink interns. Virtually every city department in Brooklyn Center has a Brooklink intern or 2. And what a neat opportunity for the young people to get a paying job and get some experience and really get some insight into city government that most youth don't have. And so this could potentially be lining up with, hey, here's something of interest down the road. Maybe I get into this when I graduate high school. Or maybe I know I don't ever want to do this. Sometimes those experiences are just as important to know what you don't want to do. If you'll indulge me, I'd like to circle back to the previous question real quick as far as that the gun violence and communicating with the youth.
Sure.
There's also another program because you had asked about like community groups and organizations, school districts. One thing that came out of the civil unrest we had following Daunte Wright's death was the city in Brooklyn Center established the Community Crisis Response Team, CCRT.
Okay.
And it was a bunch of valued partners, community partners that were brought in pretty quickly after Daunte Wright's death. And initially there were meetings daily, every day. And what the impetus behind there was we needed to know what the needs were in the community during this civil unrest period. And that was where we were starting to line up community groups that had services and products that could satisfy the needs. And so we were starting to link up the need with the source. That group grew and has grown. Now we eventually then it was meeting weekly, and currently we continue to meet monthly. And there are a variety of community groups. There are some religious leaders. There are school officials from a variety of school districts. And it's really it's an awesome opportunity once a month. It's connected virtually. So this is one benefit of the pandemic is we learned we could do these kind of meetings. This platform, although still I prefer in person. I love sitting around the actual table with the people. This is a close second best. But we've realized we can conduct business like this. So monthly we get together and we in the city share kind of what we're hearing, some concerns. And then the community can share, hey, we've heard rumors about this. We think there's a need here. And maybe person A is talking about a need here on the east side of the city. And person B is, hey, there's this group that just started on the west side of the city that has that product that's going to satisfy that need. Well, you guys connect offline and take care of business. And so that has been an awesome way for us in the city to keep our our finger on the pulse, kind of what's going on, and for the community to have legitimate, good, accurate information from the city. We're able to dispel a lot of rumors. When I hop on some of these social media platforms, it's crazy how difficult it is sometimes to tell what's truth and what's maybe made up. And so the CCRT offers the opportunity for real dialogue to happen, and we can set the record straight. And as we set that straight with this group of community partners, then they can go out to their contacts and their networks and make sure that accurate information gets out.
Okay. Well, folks, tonight we have the Chief of Police of the City of Brooklyn Center, Chief Garett Flesland. He's here with us, providing some vital information about the City of Brooklyn Center, about his department. So you can contribute to the conversation by putting a comment in the chat or calling our number 817-600-1525. Well, here's a comment so here that's saying, I don't know whether, I mean, it's like, is this something in the immigrant community? I don't know, but there's a fun fact within the immigrant community that says driving black is a crime. I mean, I don't know whether you want to respond to this, or maybe that might be some aroma in the community, or but I'm going to respond.
I've heard that term or that phrase before. I don't think so. I don't see that. One good thing we have now is all of our squads have squad cameras, video cameras in the squad cars. So every traffic stop, every stop is recorded and documented. Now we charge we ask our supervisors. They don't have time to look at every video because our cops create a lot of videos from the calls they respond to. But we do take a random sampling every month to review to make sure that policies aren't violated, that service is meeting the expectation that we have, and it provides some really good insight as far as how our cops are treating the public. And our cops know we do this. They know that their videos are potentially going to be randomly reviewed. Sure. And I will also say, when I was a sergeant for about 5 years. Most of my time as a sergeant was on dog watch at night. Most of my time as a patrol officer was at night. And it is incredibly difficult to determine what the race of the driver of a car is at night. I used to have ride-alongs with me when I would be, whether it was an officer or a sergeant, and I would ask him, hey, what's the race of the driver of that car? And very rarely could they articulate or identify. Most of the time we're acting on the behavior of the vehicle or the behavior of the person, not the color of the person.
Okay. Another one here, I think is similar to this, right? But in terms of whole, community policing, right? It's like there's this misconception sometimes, the police, because we live in a community where we live in a society that's abundance of guns, as you said, right? Police officers have to go back to their family, but there's this thing, right? The police are our friend, but sometimes there's this tension. How do you address that? I think that's what she's trying to get to here as well, right? It's like, how do you ideate specific programs like to reach out, organizing with the immigrant community or with other groups?
Part of it is taking advantage of the interactions we have, like I talked before. Regardless of who you're interacting with, you have a respectful interaction, you have good dialogue, you build a relationship as best you can during that interaction to help show that person what kind of police officer I am or our department is. As far as plans to educate the immigrant community, we did a couple of videos on social media. The city released a statement. We were invited to a couple of events in January, February, March timeframe that we participated in. So we do the best we can, but we also recognize that we can always do better as far as communicating with the community, because there is no one way you can communicate with the community. Social media, Facebook's going to catch the old people, or at least that's what I'm told. TikTok's going to catch the younger folks and the cooler folks. The gram or Instagram, I call it Instagram, but my kids call it the gram. That's going to catch another swath of people. Flyering or the newspaper is going to catch another swath. What I struggle with is, how do I get the people that we aren't able to connect through those traditional means?
Yeah.
Now, I can invite them into the police department, but I recognize that people don't want to go into the police department to have a conversation a lot of times. So
Yeah.
I need to find those folks in the community where they are. And so I got to get out of my office. I got to get out of my police department. I've got to get out of my car. And that's what I'm pushing my staff to come up with new innovative ways to connect with those segments of the population that we haven't typically connected with.
Okay.
And then we're going to have to build that relationship. And sometimes we're going to have to build it one at a time.
Okay.
And that's fine because I want to do it right. And I want to make that positive impact every time we can.
Okay. Peterson, question from you.
Yeah, so with the Dante Wright incident, and then in light of the most recent one from Jacksonville, Florida, what programs or what, because every interaction is an opportunity to learn, whether it's positive or negative. So are your existing officers going through certain training, and then are new officers that are coming in held to that standard so that they can be trained in or ways to interact with drivers, whether they're Black or non-Black?
Yeah, great question. One of the things that we're doing, and we've been doing it for a couple of years now, is ABLE training, ABLE active bystandership for law enforcement.
Yeah.
And we have a couple of staff within the department, and we were picky and choosy on who we picked as the instructors for this. And we have an initial training, and then we have refresher training every so often. And so every new cop that comes on gets this ABLE training. And really, it's not rocket science, but it is empowering our officers to recognize that part of their responsibility not only is it to uphold the laws and support the Constitution and protect the vulnerable from harm, but it is to police the police too. So it is giving our officers the right terminology, the right techniques, the right tools, but really giving them the thumbs up saying, hey, it's okay. If you think your partner's having a bad day, you get them out of there. And we're going to try and prevent something bad from happening before it happens.
Yeah.
We recognize sometimes people are having bad days, and sometimes, hey, go cool off, go grab a cup of coffee or a swig of water, and I'm going to take over this interaction for you.
Okay.
So it is giving our staff permission and expectation, the order, it's in policy, that, yeah, you're not going to let your partner go down the wrong path. And so it's having those conversations, having that awareness, having very frank conversations, and even role playing. And we do a lot of role playing, and we do a lot of scenario based training. And so our training today looks different than it did 20 years ago. When I first started, a lot of times you'd have a gun range day and you go shoot guns. And then you have a defensive tactics day and you're going to go practice with the baton and handcuffing. And then you're going to have some time in the classroom to talk about decision making, or talk about a new law that came out, or hey, we're going to review the Fourth Amendment. Most of our training now, they wrap it all up into one. And so we've got simunition guns. Essentially, it's a fancy paintball gun. So we will do traffic stops, and we will just, very rarely are they gun days. A lot of times it's communication. It is practicing that communication, but the officer, the trainee, doesn't know, hey, is this going to be a test on my gun handling skills, or my ability to use a baton or chemical spray, or how to handcuff someone safely? Or is it just a routine traffic stop, and I'm going to go identify the driver, I'm going to educate the driver on what they were doing wrong, and I'm going to maybe issue a citation or maybe just a stern lecture? And so we're trying to wrap all of the skills into every scenario, so you don't know what you're going to have to do, because in real life, you don't know how this situation is eventually going to evolve.
Okay.
So it's trying to be as realistic as possible during our training to get as many of those reps under our belt as we can.
Okay. With 1 year as a police chief, 1 year in a row as a police chief, what have you learned about yourself, about your department, and about the city of Brooklyn Center?
Oh, that's a heck of a good question. I thought through possible questions, but I didn't think about that one. That's a really good question. I think, what have I learned about myself? I have to make sure I prioritize taking care of myself.
Okay.
If I don't get enough sleep, I don't make as good of decisions as I should make sometimes or can make. So I have to make sure that I'm aware of my own self-care. I need to keep eating healthy. I need to keep my exercise regimen up. I have to take care of myself. I have to take care of my family. I need to stay healthy myself so that I am in the best possible shape to make the best possible decisions. What have I learned about the department? We have some incredible people, and everyone has a unique path to where they got to today.
Okay.
And some of my cops, all of my cops and my professional staff have incredible journeys that brought them to the City of Brooklyn Center to work as police officers and professional staffs. And it is, I challenge myself every day to take advantage of their skills and their experiences that might not be traditional, but yet can benefit the community.
Yeah.
And as far as the community, I knew we had a good city, but I know we have a great city now because I have been able to have conversations that, right or wrong, sometimes people want to talk to the chief, and they don't necessarily, they didn't want to talk to me when I was Detective Flesland or when I was Patrol Officer Flesland.
Yeah.
But I've had the opportunity to have some incredible conversations with a wide variety of people from our community, and they all want the same thing. They all want a safe environment where people can be their best, where people can grow, can be proud, don't have to be scared of a dangerous situation, and they can thrive. And everyone deep down really wants the same thing.
Okay.
And so that gives me something to shoot for and gives me a great direction to go after. But I've also realized I have to work every day to earn my badge.
Yeah.
Because what I did yesterday doesn't matter if today I dropped the ball.
Okay.
So I have to go give 110% every day, recognizing that, like I said, I got to make sure I take care of myself. And that lesson helps me know I got to make sure that the cops are taking care of themselves and our records technicians are taking care of themselves, because we can't be good stewards of respect and community service if we're not on top of our game.
Okay. Brooklyn Center is home to a vibrant Iberian community. There's the community is going to be having an event in your city this weekend. There's a parade and there's festivity. Is your department participating in those celebrations?
We were involved in some of the planning just to make sure that there's some safety, a bias towards safety during the planning. I saw the final thumbs up this afternoon as far as like the parade planning and stuff. Super excited about it. So although we won't have a huge visual presence, we're involved in the planning, and there will be some cops in and out. And my cops love learning. And so I have no doubt that the officers on patrol this weekend are going to be stopping by the various events because they don't want to miss out on an opportunity to see what's going on and to catch some of the excitement and to learn.
Okay.
What a great way to learn as part of the celebration with the Iberian community.
Okay. Peterson, question from you.
Yeah. So one question I had, I appreciate the fact in the previous question that you said you give your officers permission to either intervene or to pull somebody to the side and say, I'm going to take over if the person's not feeling well or if they're having a bad day, because that is something that we need to see in a lot of police departments, because many times we see these interactions and whoever the assisting officer is, it's like sometimes their hands are tied because they don't have the permission to.
Are you there, Peterson? Okay, I think he was trying to say is like,
go ahead.
go ahead.
No, I was going to say, what's his take on, since we have so much cell phones everywhere, of just random people coming either to a traffic stop or to a crime scene and showing up with a cell phone to record.
I don't have a problem with that as long as it's done safely and from a respectable distance. If I'm in, I conduct a traffic stop, I stop a vehicle for speeding. And I'm at the driver's door and having a conversation, a dialogue with the driver. I don't want someone rushing up on us with a cell phone to record us. Stay on the sidewalk. Stay a little ways away. Give that person I stopped the respect. They may not want to be on video, but I don't have a problem with people videoing the police. We've all got cameras. We're videoing everything as well. Maybe we're going to have a unique angle or anything, but there needs to be a respectable distance. The officer still needs to be able to conduct business in a safe manner. And if there's a bunch of people rushing up to video, well, now the officer can't necessarily just focus on what he's doing. He's got to focus on what's going on around him. Is this safe for me to interact with this person? So let's just give the officer and the person the officer's interacting with a little bit of respect, a little bit of dignity, give them some space. But yeah, I don't have a problem with cell phones and videos being taken. Because if the officer's doing their job correctly, all the video is going to show is that the officer was doing their job correctly. And our officers, they're doing heroic stuff every day and every night. And very little of it gets in the news. And they get to deal with people that are having some terrible days. And some of the stuff that the average police officer has to listen to, get called, told, everything, it's incredible. And so I have no problem with videos showing the environment sometimes that our heroes are trying to work through to solve problems and keep people safe. So yeah, as long as there's a respectable distance, not a problem with that.
The ERT program that you have in Brooklyn Center, is it a model that other cities can copy? And how will you, as a police chief, what grade will you give the ERT team right now? How will you grade them?
I'd grade them a solid. Oh, you're going to get me in trouble, sir. I'd grade them a B plus or an A minus. We need more of them. We need more coverage. I hear from my officers on a regular basis, hey, why can't they be working 24 hours a day? And so, but I also understand there's a cost there, and it's a tremendous undertaking to get 24-hour coverage somewhere. But they're continuing to learn, and I think it's going to be fascinating when we take a step back once this has been in play for a while to look at what is the composition of these teams, what is the best way to do it, and I think each community is potentially going to be slightly different. Maybe in one community it is going to be to have a co-responder model, a true co-responder where you have a police officer and a mental health practitioner in a squad car together. But that may not work for another community. So it really is going to come down to keeping open minds, being willing to try things, being willing to pivot, collecting the data, and then being able to look at the data with an open mind and try and figure out, okay, what is the right twist next time when we try it? Because it's going to take a few iterations to perfect anything. I absolutely support it.
In terms of crime, what's the crime rate like in Brooklyn Center? And has crime, when it comes to the trend, has it gone down? Has it gone up? How you describe the trend of, I know like Brooklyn Center share a border with Minneapolis, right? It's like sometimes a challenge for you, but how's the crime rate in your city?
We are seeing some of the lowest crime numbers since at least 2020. So in 2020, nationally, we made a transition from the ways we track crime, and we instituted this new NIBRS. It's federal government driven. They want NIBRS. It's going to be more accurate over time to track because it's able to look at the specific pieces and elements of an incident, because one incident might have more than one crime or a variety, whereas the old system, you would only be able to flag it as one crime. So we're going to have more detailed information over time. But these are the lowest numbers we've seen since 2020. Our violent crime, I pulled the numbers as of yesterday so that I had some current stuff. Our violent crime year to date is down 22%. Our auto thefts, a lot of people heard about auto thefts the last couple of years, and yep, Kias and Hyundais were stolen disproportionate number of times because of some issues there. Our auto theft in Brooklyn Center this year is down 42%. When I look at 2 years ago, our auto theft is down 52% from then. Our total property crime this year to date is down 8%. When I compare it to 2 years ago, we're down 10%. Okay. So we're going in a good direction, but I will also acknowledge crime rates go up and down.
Yeah.
And I can't definitively say what the impact of the pandemic was or some of the civil unrest, in 2020 and 2021. Yeah. That's not going to probably be known for sure for many, many years. We need to get a little bit further down the road, and we can look back and analyze it. It's too soon to draw any conclusions, but crime's down. Okay. But I also understand the actual crime rate can be different from the perception of crime.
Okay.
And so while I like to deal in numbers, absolutely, I'd like to have numbers drive what we do and tell me where I should be putting our cops and what efforts we should be making. Yeah. Numbers only tell part of the story. I also have to be in tune with the perception of crime. Yeah. And I have to communicate. That's why I have to be in the schools and get to know the kids. That's why CCRT is so powerful, because I can connect with a variety of community members and community organizations, and I can understand and learn what the perception is so that I can correct the narrative or, start some new efforts to combat some of these issues. So I'm stuck with trying to drive down the actual numbers, but also influence the perception of crime, because someone doesn't care what the crime is. They care, did their kid feel safe going to the park and playing on the fields with their friends? Okay. Even though I can say it's not dangerous and statistically you're fine, if that mom is worried about their kid, well, that means I have work to do.
Okay. Well, folks, tonight we have the Brooklyn Center Police Chief with us. There's a 1 hour show, so it's that we can't keep dragging it. So we're going to wrap it up here pretty quick. So Peterson, 1 or 2 more questions from you, and then we'll try to wrap it up with the Chief.
Okay, so one of my last questions. Thank you so much for being here tonight, Chief. I know you are not fully staffed. Your department is not fully staffed right now. You need some more officers. So those that are on duty, what resources do you have to cater to their mental health? Because officers are out there, they are overworking. What programs do you have in place to help them so that they can not be so stressed?
Part of it is just the awareness, like we talked about before. We have some very blunt conversations. We contract with a mental health service provider. I order my staff and my cops once a year to go in for a checkup from the neck up, where I order them to go have a conversation with a mental health practitioner. All I know is that they go. They could be talking about fishing or the last Twins game for all I know. I don't know. I can tell you when I go, we do a nice check-in on my sleep and my health, and we've talked through challenges and stresses and coping mechanisms and really trying to build up some resiliency and such. In addition to just that annual checkup from the neck up, all of my cops get 6 sessions that they can use whenever to go see that mental health professional. And we've actually expanded it where they can use that with family members now. So it's not just for my staff, it's for their family as well, if their family's stressed out. Because I recognize if someone's not in a good spot at home, that's going to impact them at work. Yeah. Just like if they're not in a good spot at work, that's going to impact them at their home. So we've learned over time, we need to address both their life at work, plus support them in their life outside of work. we do let our officers work out on duty from time to time, as long as we limit how, one at a time, and it's got to be during a time that we don't typically see peak calls for service, and the sergeant has to be aware of it, and they have to be able to respond in a timely manner should a big call happen. But we found a huge advantage of having our staff the ability to work out on duty. I'm not smart enough to explain the benefits of physical activity and health on your mental well-being, but I'm a believer. I know it's there, and I see it on a regular basis. We've got a comfort dog within the department. We've got Rex. He's been around for a couple of years. He's got a handler, and he goes home with the handler at night. But at work, when the handler's there, Rex hangs out at our work. Now, Rex also goes to community events, and he meets kids, and he goes to coffee with the cops and goes to all kinds of events like that. But selfishly, when they're not out at community events, Rex hangs out at the police department, and it is incredible what an animal can do to change the atmosphere. Yeah. You can have an 8-hour first aid class for a bunch of cops, and the mood is just different when Rex walks around the room and hangs out and gets pet by, the 25 cops are in this training for 8 hours. Yeah. That's huge. I am a believer in therapy dogs and comfort dogs, and the change they can provide to an organization. And there's a handful of other things that we're doing. After significant events, if there's traumatic events, we have debriefing sessions, and we bring in mental health practitioners. We had an officer-involved shooting about a month ago, and before we had 9 officers that were at the scene of this incredible incident. Before the officers went home that next morning, we had a mental health practitioner in our police department that talked with each one individually to make sure that they were in an okay spot, they had the support they needed, and that they knew they had support available to them in the next couple of days, weeks, months that were going to come. So that never happened when I started 25 years ago. We didn't have a psychologist that was at the police department within an hour and a half of a phone call to make sure our staff was good, or as good as they could be for that situation.
Okay. What keeps you up at night as the police chief of Brooklyn Center?
Did I do everything today that I could have to make the department and the community better? Did I grow? Did I mentor some of our cops? Did I correct some of our cops if they needed a correction? Did I answer the community member in a timely manner with accurate information? So that keeps me up. Hey, did I do as well today as I could have? Because I want to try and do a little bit better tomorrow. Part of it is, am I supporting our staff as best I can? Do they have the tools? Do they have the technology? Do they have the training to be able to take care of business, whatever that business might be? Because it is such a crazy variety of things our officers and staff get the opportunity to be involved in on a regular basis. So do they have the knowledge, skills, and ability and confidence to be able to support the community as best we can? I guess those are probably the 2 biggest things that keep me up.
Okay. If you could change one thing about policing in America, what would it be?
You asked some really good questions. I'm going to pivot on that slightly.
Yeah.
And I would love if in America we could have some kind of requirement for everyone to participate in some kind of community service oriented endeavor. Yeah. I know there's some countries that have mandated everyone has to go in the military. Yeah. And I don't think that's necessarily the right answer. Yeah. But if we could have some kind of system in place where everyone has to give back to the country somehow, whether it's military service or police service, or maybe after high school, you go help reconstruct roads in an area that has all kinds of flooding or had a tornado damage, or you're going to go help in the medical field or whatever. and you have to serve for, let's say, 2 years, just some kind of, for the rest of your life, every time you get on a subway or get on a bus or hanging out at a ballpark, you can go to the person next to you. Hey, what was your service? What'd you do? What'd you do for America? What'd you do for the country? There will be a bond and a way that everyone can connect. You know, how did you help make this country better? What did you do for your 2 years? That's how I'll answer that. But I'm going to think more about that because
that's powerful, though. That's powerful. I mean, your answer right there is powerful, right? Service, right? Because I think that's what's lacking in the country right now. You hear there's so much division, there's so much going on. But I think if we add some kind of a service, right, that will connect people, right? Because everyone want to talk about our differences, but I think we have so much in common. You know, there's so much that binds us than divides us. So I mean, your answer actually, you know, kind of a, you know, say right there. But what's the last? I mean, what's the party message tonight? I mean, what is it? What's the message you want to leave our audience tonight? I see you as we wrap up here.
Public safety is way more than what you think of as public safety. The police are maybe the most visible part of it, but it takes everyone. It as trained and as equipped as my cops are, we can't do it alone. We need the community's eyes and ears. We need the other departments that we partner with. We need the Office of Community Prevention, Health, and Safety. And we need the fire department. We need Park and Rec. And we need community development. And we need community engagement. And we need the religious organizations. And we need the business owners. And we need the neighborhood groups. And we need the schools. And we need the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts. And we need everyone to have that focus, that awareness. We need everyone to look out for everyone else. And I think I'll leave it at this. We need everyone to respect everyone else. If there was mutual respect, just an underline, everyone as a person deserves respect. Now, I might not like what this person does behavior-wise. Maybe they do something, but I still have to respect them as a person. And if I still respect them as a person, we will be able to have a civil dialogue, and we will be able to communicate, and we will be able to come up with some kind of shared understanding. And if we can respect one another, this place is going to be so much better and so much easier, and people will thrive.
Okay. Chief, thank you so much for accepting our invitation. It's been a great conversation. I feel a lot of great things about you, and tonight just confirmed that. Thank you so much for taking the time. We hope we can do this again when Director Turk is well. You know, we can definitely, there's more questions, right? Is that folks get more things to ask, but we'll leave it at that, right? It's a 1 hour show. You know, Peter, anything from you for the Chief?
No, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you, Chief. And go ahead, Chief.
This was the first podcast I've ever been invited to. I'll be honest, I was a little bit nervous, a little apprehensive. I appreciate you guys making this a good experience. Absolutely, I would love to come back in the future sometime. So thank you for setting the bar really high for future podcasts.
Oh, no, we feel proud of doing that. Well, thank you so much, and you have a good night. We'll talk to you soon again.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, thanks, folks.
Good night.
Everyone have a good night.